Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, do me a favor and take a little time and like and share today's show. I want everybody to hear this morning's flow. It's very important. A lot of stuff is going on. Good morning to you. Hey, good morning, Tracy, Miss D, Cassandra, Cam. Cam, I did get your message, man. That sounds like a great idea. Sounds like a great idea. Let's connect. Hey, good morning. Come on in, everybody. Let's get things started very, very, very abruptly. I want to jump straight into the flows this morning. It's a beautiful day. Let's not waste it. A beautiful Thursday. And God's America. This is God's country, right? Still? Today, I want to talk about numerous things. How to win in Trump's America. Many of you are already doing it, but we need to collectively put our information together and share it with the larger ignorant masses. Yeah, it's many folks are winning in Trump's America. Black folks are winning in Trump's America, which should spark a debate about which is going to be the best candidate. Will it be the incumbent or whomever the Democrats figure it's going to be, right? Whoever they decide is going to be later this year. But you tell me. Also, Snoop has apologized. I'm not surprised to see that one bit. We had a very emotional conversation on Monday about this issue because there were just so many raw feelings that people had. And I'm not the kind of person to tell you I told you so. But I told you so. Snoop has completely backed away from his comments, says that he overreacted, and he's apologized, which is exactly what I said the brother did. And I'm glad he did, because I want to see Snoop when he comes to Cincinnati. I'm glad he did. As I told you, if he didn't back away from that nonsense, I read things very well. It's a God-given gift. I could see the way it was lining up. It was not looking good, bruh. It was not looking good at all. It's not looking good. And so now we can all enjoy Snoop when he comes to Cincinnati. Yeah, thank you, Snoop. S in something. Dun, 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 dun. Everybody loves that Snoop song. It's a good joint right there. So that's for folks who plan on going to the Cincinnati Music Fest. You can get a chance to still see Snoop. He completely backed away, said he was overly emotional. He said 2 wrongs don't make a right, and, whatever else. I've got the audio for you, so we'll listen to it, and perhaps it'll spark a conversation. But I'm not surprised, because that's what I told you. There was nothing wrong with what Gail said. She's in the media. That is her job. People keep trying to inject stuff into her job that has nothing to do with it. Well, what about Harvey Weinstein? That's a whole separate issue. Has nothing to do with this. By the way, Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi were laid to rest in a private ceremony yesterday. Yeah, it's the end of a chapter there. Still very, very sad. But as I said, Gail did nothing wrong. That is her job. She did exactly what she's paid to do, and she's going to continue to do that. And people keep trying to inject things into her job. That's not a black-owned entity. That's CBS, owned by Viacom. They don't have the same morality as say, I would have. Or some other, entity that's controlled and owned by black folks. They may look at it differently. CBS, they're in it for the ratings. And they got the ratings, man. I didn't even watch the video, but that clip they put out had well over 1 million views on YouTube. That's just YouTube. So it worked. Gail's going to sit down and talk to them. They'll tell her whatever's going to happen, and she might get a bonus. And that's it. There's nothing more to it. Also, perhaps big dollars in the West End for black folks. I saw a very interesting article that had to do with FC Cincinnati. So I want to discuss this morning. Now, listen, this is, of course, as we all know, a talk show. And it's an interactive show. And if you'd like to share your thoughts, 513-873-7134. In particular, I'm looking for everyone's voice. But in particular, I'd like to connect with some new voices. People who listen to the show. And, that's not really your vibe. Now, listen, I'm not trying to pull you out of your comfort zone or anything. If you're that resistant, I understand. But please feel free to share your thoughts at 513-873-7134. It's a free call anywhere in America that I know of, really anywhere in the world that I know of. I've had no problems with it. If you have issues, let me know. Let me know. Did you hear the story about the nonprofit here in the city of Cincinnati? Seen his brother's face all over the news. I hate these damn. Is this a mugshot? I thought we weren't doing mugshots anymore locally. Well, that was just WCPO, right? Yeah, this is not looking good. Barry Reese Isaacs, 34, the founder, owner, and CEO of a Cincinnati nonprofit, allegedly used thousands of dollars for personal expenses. He used the funds from Hope for Change to pay for clothing, massages. Massages are really underrated. They really are. Like, if you can afford it, you should really be getting a rub down a couple times a week. And before you say, Nate, that's extravagant, look at these athletes. I mean, the reality is, man, if you look at these athletes, they treat their bodies the way we all should, to be honest with you. And after you get a good workout, it helps your body to snap back faster if you're getting a good little rub down from a trained professional. No happy ending jokes, okay? I'm just saying, from a physiological standpoint. Are you aware of Hope for Change? Apparently, they provide housing and care for adults with developmental disabilities. I mean, I guess they say this is illegal, but maybe I'm cynical. But it's a lot of these CEOs and people at the top of these local nonprofits that's doing the same thing they allege this brother do. They just doing it legally. They're just doing it legally. There's no way in the world that we can have the same level of the issues that we had with all these nonprofits that's here supposed to be taking care of it. It's no way. It's no way. I don't believe it. I'm just cynical. I don't believe it. So I know they're going to focus on this brother, and it looks like he allegedly did something wrong. We'll find out. But I'm just trying to say that it's some people out here legal pimping at these nonprofits, making guapo. Ain't doing shit. Ain't doing a damn thing. Going to meetings. I'm on my way to a meeting. That's all you do in nonprofit worlds. Go to meetings. Everybody sit down for about 30 minutes. And then if you're going to meetings all day, that means you're in the car for 30, 40 minutes, 2-3 hours a day. That's not fucking work. Get out of here. Don't give me that BS. Meanwhile, the block is still thirsty, still desperate. Disparities higher than ever in our adult lifetimes. I told you I'm cynical about this. I'm very cynical. Like I said, when I read that the former CEO of United Way was making like $400,000, I'm like, what the hell is you doing for $400,000 a year? That's just mind blowing. But, somebody's got to go to the meetings. Somebody's got to go to the meetings. Someone's got to go to the meetings. Someone's got to go to trainings. I understand. I get it. Oh, man. That's going to touch somebody this morning. 513-873-7134. Again, that is my number. That's one way to interact with the show. The other way is via Spreaker. You can join the Chop Shop. You could chop it up in sort of a chat room environment with the good people that you hear me talking to and reading their comments every single day. So you've got the doors wide open. Feel free. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Hey, Terrence, I did receive your message, and absolutely, brother, I'll be in touch. I'll be in touch. For sure. You already know, man. You already know. Again, I'm not really trying to provoke another Snoop conversation per se. That's where the conversation goes. Let's go there. But, he's completely backed away. And before anybody says, well, he had to do that, Nate. No, he did not. Don't say that, because he did not have to do that. Well, he had to do that. And if you concede that he had to do it, then you concede my point earlier that he had to do it if he was going to come to Cincinnati and perform for all of us. Like, raise your hand if you plan on going to see Snoop. I know you're going to be there. I know you're going to be there. Unless something, takes me otherwise, I plan on being there. When was the last time you saw Snoop live? Okay, then. So I want to see Snoop. I'm glad he apologized. Thank you, Snoop. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. And people, I tuned away from it after Monday, quite honestly, even though I saw that there were several more like opinion pieces and like there was other like sort of like, people in the media that were giving their opinion. I didn't click on any of it. Because I kind of figured, I read the headline and I kind of figured out where they were coming from. And I'm like, okay. I'm okay. Now just imagine, within a week now. This is within a week. It didn't take a whole long time. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 days. He's already apologized. Hey, smart man. I think that's a very smart man. I mean, sometimes when you're wrong, you just got to admit it. I'm wrong. You got it. You just move on. You know what I'm saying? Here you are putting up a fuss for no reason. It is what it is at that point. How have your last 24 hours been? I hope they've been well. Good morning to you. Oh, man. Oh, good points. Good point. Oh, okay, Glenn. Appreciate you, man. Yusuf Salam says, pay attention to 2020 candidates' track record. Absolutely. I see Donnie B posted something in the Friends page. Should have handled it differently than that. I was raised better than that, he said. Right. Yeah, I read the same thing. I wasn't surprised. I'm glad to see you did it. Again, thank you, Snoop. Thank you. Glad you did that, Snoop. So that I can see you perform in Cincinnati. Because he was going to mess it all up for all of us. Snoop almost messed up his performance in Cincinnati later this summer up for all of us. He almost messed up for all of us, getting all emotional, smoking that super strong weed. That's what it was. Getting all emotional, drinking. That was his drinking scarf he was wearing in that video. Dark-skinned Jermaine writes, I have strong feelings about Snoop's apology. Well, dark-skinned Jermaine, I'm not surprised to hear you say that, brother. Because if I remember straight out the gate on Monday, you had strong opinions back then. You had strong feelings then. And are you surprised to see him apologize? Tracy writes, they were going to pull the plug on Snoop here, and the song you keep singing is See Murder. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, they was going to pull a plug. They was going to pull the plug on Snoop everywhere. Dark-Skin Jermaine writes, Snoop's apology was forced. I think it was influenced. I think it's better to say influence. No, but forced is, the dude from Sicario at the very end of the first Sicario when he said sign this and she wouldn't sign it and he pulled out his weapon. He had already killed like 14 people in the movie. And she got that look in her face like took a big gulp, like that's forced. He was more influenced. You know what I'm saying? He was influenced. And I'm glad he did. Plus, he was out of line. You threatening a woman because she asked and the question wasn't that big of a deal. Everybody made that into a big deal. Tariq Nasheed made that into a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. Had they just let it go, most people wouldn't even seen it. It would have been no big deal, but they blew it up so that everybody, they made money for CBS. They blew it up so that everybody ran back to see what was actually said. It was nothing. I thought that she was like called, Kobe was a rapist. That's what I thought she said, the way people was talking. But like I said, some people are invested in looking for it and finding that kind of stuff. But enough of me. Let's go straight to the phones. Let's talk to Tracy.
Hey, Nathan, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Feeling better?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Okay, so I'm good. You said that I said that Snoop was, they were going to not let Snoop hear. I don't believe that. That's not what I said. I mean, if they could let R. Kelly and all of his allegations come here as many times as he's been here, they weren't going to stop Snoop from coming here for calling somebody a doghead B. I don't believe that. There's way too much money invested in this P&G Music Festival, and this is probably going to be the biggest one ever with Janet and Snoop. They weren't going to stop him from that. I just don't believe that.
Okay. Oh, you're right. I misread it. They were not going to pull this plug on Snoop is what you said. Okay. You don't believe that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't believe that. I don't believe they would stop him from that. I just think that they would not even get involved in that.
Okay.
So that's just my 2 cents this morning. I'm not going to rehash the Snoop versus Gail. He said he did what his mama told him to do. I think if his mama wouldn't have said nothing, he probably wouldn't have said anything either. But it is what it is at this point. Let's go back to Black History Month, right?
Okay. All right, Tracy.
All right, bye.
All right, thanks for the call. Tracy says it is what it is. She said that she didn't think anything was going to happen to Snoop. Okay. All right. I mean, it's one of those things that we can't judge. Like, it didn't happen, so there's no way of really. Well, he's apologized now, so ostensibly nothing has happened. So we don't have any way of really measuring it. But I think that, as I said before, there are people out there who are very influential, and they can make a few phone calls and pull the plug on your operation. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Guy. How you doing?
I'm doing great, pal. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Snoop Dogg, if you're listening, you a funky doghead bitch. You a punk.
It's not 9 o'clock yet, man. Damn.
I don't.
Damn.
I was quoting him.
It quotes and be damned. But I get your point.
You a punk. You up here talking about I talked to my mama. What kind of 40-year-old man married with children still gets his advice from his mama? They punked you. Whoever they is, them people punked you. Little boys you. Sons you. But this is quite typical of your character, Snoop. You're always stepping into something that you're not willing to finish. You were a Rastafarian for 10 minutes. The Bible album, all that stuff. You're just a sucker for this. This is the biggest loss that black men have taken in history with Snoop apologizing. And it's always sometime around this time of the month that black men be taking L's. February 10th, 1990, Mike Tyson gets knocked out by Buster Douglas. February 10th, 1992, Mike Tyson gets convicted of rape in Indiana. February 12th, 2020, Snoop Dogg bitches out.
You just don't care about the children, do you? You just don't care about it. You said you're for the kids, but you're not for the kids.
I can't hear you. What'd you say, Ben?
I said you just don't care about the kids, do you?
Oh, man, it was for the children.
Oh, okay. I can't tell. That's hilarious, by the way. You even did research. That is hilarious.
What is?
Your theory about black men taking L, this is the worst L that a black man's taken in history.
I can't hear you. There's some echo. Let me turn this down. What did you say?
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Fame. I'm not sure what's going on, man, but go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I heard you a little bit. I just didn't, you said something about history. But yeah, Snoop, why'd you even step into it if you knew you were susceptible to being punked out like that? Why would you even step into it like that? You should have just been quiet. And now you want to look all, apologizing and all that about, you want to look like you're the mature one. No, you're not mature because you're a grown ass man with a whole wife and family still talking about my mama.
Well,
I
see,
was raised better than that. That's what 12-year-olds say.
Part of your flow is slightly what they call toxic masculinity. I got to be honest with you. Part of it.
Well, I'm toxically masculine. I don't give a damn.
Okay. Well, great. Just you might not be aware of this. You can wear it as a badge of honor then. But this whole concept that because he apologized, he somehow, the B word or a Mitch or something like that is troubling. Because a real man should be able to admit when he's wrong.
He wasn't wrong.
Clearly
That's
he was.
The problem. No, he wasn't wrong. He was wrong for speaking out because he's a superstar and still beholden to white folks' dollars.
That means he was wrong.
No, he was wrong because he stepped out of his line.
That means he was wrong. I mean, for whatever your reasons, it ends with him being wrong.
The white man put him back in his place. Hold on, good nigger boy. Remember, you gotta perform concerts where white folks is gonna be at. Your audience is more white than it is black anymore. This ain't Snoop with the taper on deep cover with Dre. This is Snoop the caricature.
It's the same guy. He's just older now.
Say what?
I said it's the same guy. He's just older now.
What you're calling toxically masculine, you yourself said this is a show where men can be men.
100%.
Okay, then. I'm being a man. I'm calling Snoop out.
Yeah, but
that was my fault.
I challenge what you mean by being a man. I don't think he's less of a man because he admitted that he was wrong, is what I'm telling you.
I think he's less of a man because he was talking about, because he came out so strong and now he looks so weak. Don't give me this, he looks mature, he looks strong. No, he looks weak. Because his statement when he came out was too weak. And he's issued 2 apologies.
He did.
One PSA explaining himself and then a full-fledged apology.
He did. I noticed that too.
And that's what makes him look weak.
I don't
just left it at the first one.
Does Snoop look weak? Again, not to me. He just looks like a man who got caught up in his emotions and now he realized he was wrong. And I think that's manly.
Look at him. They up there, he made them tell him, I got caught up in my emotions.
That's what I said on Monday.
You didn't get caught up in no emotions. You were speaking from the heart. Don't give me that crap.
Same thing. That's the same thing. That's the same thing. Depending on how intense you are. He was pretty intense with it. Threatening people's lives. Like I said, you got to remember what he did. See, you're getting caught up with the dog head thing. He threatened this woman's life. He's apologizing for that. And you think that's unmanly.
And that's what he should have just apologized for the pseudo threat.
Oh, no, it was nothing pseudo about it. It was very real.
Calling you whatever you need to be called, I ain't apologize for that. Like the great urban poet Christopher Wallace said, a.k.a. Biggie Smalls, if I said it, I meant it. Bite my tongue for no one. Call me evil or unbelievable. That's me. If I call you a funky doghead B, it's because you deserve to get called that.
You're quoting a crack dealer turned rapper.
That's what you were representing at that time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, Snoop, you just gave us the biggest L in life.
That's hilarious, but I disagree with you.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You're weak. You probably was on high, you probably was coming down off a high and ready to cry, feeling emotional. But again, this is par for the course for your character. You left Tupac and Suge hanging and on the radio in New York. Hey, how do you feel about Biggie Smalls and Puff Daddy? They're my homeboys. After all that venom that's been going on between the two camps.
Sounds like he took the mature route.
Pick a side, Snoop. Pull your pants down and make sure you got two of them. The next before you get in front of a mic again, you're looking like Zaya Wade. I'll holler at you at the next boom.
Oh, he was pretty happy with that flow. You can tell in his howl. Well, I mean, that is an opinion. Maybe you agree or disagree. That is an opinion. I completely disagree. You threaten somebody's life and realize I made a mistake. You just apologize and keep on going. Simple as that. I give Snoop props. I give him props. And I know that some people believe that nothing would have happened to Snoop if he didn't apologize. And again, we'll never know. I'm glad we don't know. I'm glad nothing's going to happen. Well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm glad he's apologized and backed away from the abyss, so to speak. So we shall see. Fame says that he mitched out, basically. Okay. Talking about how he talked to his mama. Taking advice from his mama. And, that's what moms are for. So that's what the older folks in your family is for, to pull you away sometime when you all caught up with it and you just can't see it. Nobody in the world can tell you than the people that brought you into this world. Sometimes those are the only people that you'll listen to. You know what I'm saying? But we just see these differently, and that's okay. Completely differently, by the way. Because you are tripping this morning, man. Tracy says nothing was going to happen. She also writes, hi. Miss D writes, greetings. Cassandra writes, hey, Choppers. I know I'm reading it for the second time. Cam writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Good morning to you. Dark-skinned Jermaine, who we just heard from, writes, good morning. Alt Middle is here for the children. Ashy adults must be dismissed with the flick of the wrist. Ray writes, grand risings all. Charles writes, good morning, everyone. Brenda writes, happy Thursday. Kush writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers with a Z. Miss Tiffany writes, morning, pardon me. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Good morning to you, Ashley. Terrence writes, good morning. Good morning to you, Terrence. Kelly writes, good morning to you. The Snoop apology was forced, more like influenced, I think is a better way. Like I said, you ever seen the movie Sicario? Then at the very end of the movie, the female lead sitting down with the Sicario dude. Yeah. He's like, sign this. She was like, I don't want to sign that. And he pulls out the steel, puts it to her face, and she ends up signing it. That's forced. Tracy writes, they were not going to pull the plug on Snoop here. And the song you keep singing is See Murder. Well, I mean, anyone can be replaced. Even Snoop in a lineup. Anybody can be replaced. Beyonce can be replaced. She's one of the biggest pop stars in the world. But I'm glad we don't. Hopefully he'll be here. Kush writes, how did I miss Rakim last night? Any Choppers go? How was the show? I knew about Rakim and then forgot about it with everything going on. I didn't get a chance to attend. Let's see. Ray writes, I didn't know either. Kobe. Let me see. Mason, Kush, Ray, talking to Kush, talking to Ray. Mason Muller writes, morning, Nate and the Choppers. Hashtag Naker, please. Sharp writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Ray writes, why understanding is you can deduct a portion of clothing, hair, and other personal things for your taxes If there are any CPAs, please correct. Is that in reference to the story I was talking about the brother with Hope for Change, who now prosecutors are saying used some of the money for his own personal gain, and which I guess was illegal? Let me see here. Barry Renee Isaacs, 34 of Cincinnati, was arraigned in federal court on Monday. Federal court. The founder, owner, CEO, and president of a Cincinnati nonprofit allegedly used thousands of dollars for personal expenses instead of paying payroll taxes, according to the Department of Justice. Damn, the Department of Justice got involved? Now, they won't go after, corruption to highest levels. On the words of our new president and fearless leader, Donald Trump. Well, I mean, if you're going to do stuff like that in the nonprofit world, they got forms for that. You got to make sure you fill out the proper forms. If you don't fill out the proper forms, you get that. FG writes, good morning, good people. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Terrence writes, thank you, Nate. I appreciate the opportunity. Listen, I appreciate the information. Can't wait for it. CG Dub writes, good morning, choppers. TGIT. That means it is a Thursday. Damn, last Thursday I was just coming out. Still hasn't really sunk in. They broke Snoop down to the very last compound. I don't know about all of that. Maybe Snoop, because that sometimes can happen. Like sometimes in the moment, you can get your temper all flared up, and then a couple days go away, pass or whatever. And you start thinking back on it and you're like, you know what? I was tripping. Sometimes that happens. Or you might be like somebody in your family or somebody who you can really, you care about their opinion comes to you. And they say, boy, why you do all of that? Maybe his mother put him to the side and told him like, listen, what if that was your sister or something like that? And because it's his mother, he was like, psh, damn, Ma, you right. Sometimes it happens like that. That's it. Clue Magic's in the house. He writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Karamia writes, good morning, folks. Speaking to force versus influence, was Kobe's statement after settling forced or influenced? I don't know. I would say that it was a matter of personal, personal health. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would say, Clue. The whole situation kind of read like this was an agreement that he came up with the victim, to make this thing all go away. So who knows what could have came out. Mike Jones writes, good morning, choppers. Snoop should never have apologized. Stand by your comment. That's Karamia. It depends on what your comments are. Like for me, there's no maturity on standing on wrong. That's not a virtue because you don't apologize and you're wrong, in my opinion. That ain't no virtue. I ain't gonna never apologize, even when I'm wrong. That's some other ish. When you're wrong, you're wrong. You move away from it. That's it. You admit it and move on. That's it. Nothing more. So I appreciate a person that stand on a comment when they got a comment that's worthy to stand on. I appreciate that. But those comments threatening this black woman over the meaningless, most harmless question in the world. It was the most harmless question in the world. Nobody in this world was harmed by it, including Kobe's family. And people just blew it all the way up. It was nothing. You talk about a nothing burger. It was nothing. It was nothing there. So I give the man credit for realizing that maybe that's not the comment he wants to stand on. Stand on some other comments that have more meaning to it. But that's just me. That's just me. Clue Magic writes, right, Tracy, they aren't going to pull the plug on Snoop for being disrespectful to Gail, a white woman, IDK. Again, okay. Okay. And hopefully we'll never find out. That'll be just great because I want to see Snoop when he comes to Cincinnati. But I'll say it again. Snoop can be replaced on the lineup. Beyonce can be replaced on the lineup. There's not an entertainer in the world that can't be replaced on a lineup. And I don't care who it is. Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, you name it. It's happened before. It can happen again. But who knows? Perhaps you're right. Ray writes cream from the promoters, city of Cincinnati, food vendors, restaurants, etc. Well, the event would still go on. Like if Snoop got pulled from a lineup, it wouldn't be the same because all the people that came just for Snoop or interested just in Snoop obviously would be disappointed. But, people will still go to the event. Renee writes, good morning. Hey, good to see you, Renee. Mason Muller writes, Gayle King got influence in the Natty? Who knew? Okay. Mike Jones writes, Snoop apologized for his language, not the substance of his argument. Kale and okra. Kale and okra? We're still working for trying to turn Kobe's death into a viral moment. Well, Mike, I'm going to tell you that if you're CBS News, every interview you do, you want it to go into a viral moment. Every interview. That's the business that they're in. They're in the business of doing interviews because they want people to watch them. And if they can get 5 million people to watch them or 10 million people to watch them or 20 million because they ask a controversial question, they're going to do that. That's what they're going to do. And works for CBS, and that's what they pay her to do. Same thing with Oprah. I mean, she's in the media business. I mean, for years and years, she brought more, I think, class and a little bit of more style to just like your Jerry Springer type of show. But yeah, she was in it for the ratings. She wanted you to watch the Oprah Winfrey show when they was talking about, celebrities or something. Tom Cruise was going to step on the couch or something, or they was talking about, black men who cheat, or whatever it could be. So I think you're right. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Mike Davis writes, rise and shine, young stars. My contacts are killing me. Karamir writes, I heard Martha Stewart has more street cred than Snoop Dogg. Snoop never went to prison. You heard that? Where'd you hear that at? Exactly. Jared writes, good morning, hashtag team and I. Mike Davis writes, greetings, Kush. Show was nice. Fire. KRS coming February 21st at OTR Live. Oh, that's going to be super dope. Yeah. Clue Magic writes, the language used was wrong, not the message. Yeah, I mean, if his message was, you talking about Snoop? Yeah, I mean, his message is his message. To me, what was wrong, again, the language is one thing. My issue is the threat. That was my number one issue with it. We gonna come get you. Come on, bro. Come on, man. That's wrong. But imagine that's your daughter that asked that question. Some big time celebrity. I'm talking about to Snoop. Come on, you gotta think about that. And I think Snoop thought about it. But his message was that he felt it was disrespectful. I mean, that's his opinion. If he felt like the Gayle interview was disrespectful, okay, it's a lot of people to feel that way. I mean, people have their opinions about it. But, to be Snoop, you got millions of people that follow you on Instagram. Millions of people follow him on Instagram. And it was a bit irresponsible, in my opinion. But I agree, his message wasn't wrong. Shula Israel writes, toxic masculinity, a term coined to emasculate men and encourage and push the LGBTQ agenda. Where's toxic femininity? Tracy writes, Nathan, mostly all of the greats were former crack dealers turned rappers. Asks Jay-Z. Tracy writes, he said Zaya Wade. Ray writes, for those with earbuds. Toxic femininity is in family court. I don't know who dark-skinned Jermaine is talking to at 8:37 a.m. I'm not going to read that. Pat writes, good morning. CG Dub writes, so Trump says he can stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and not lose any voters. And he could. He could. No apology has ever felt threatened. Snoop calls Gayle a doghead biatch, and he's damn near on an apology tour. Well, to me, CG Dub, comparing Snoop to Trump is a bad compare. They are on two completely different levels. Two completely different levels. Snoop is nowhere near on Donald Trump's level. Nowhere near. He don't have the influence. He don't have nowhere near the pull as Donald Trump does. And let's just talk about that pull and that influence and what you said here. Because I remember that. And we all, because I remember we talked about it for days and days and weeks, we all agreed that Trump could shoot somebody in broad daylight and get away with it in the minds of a lot of people. And he's been doing just that. Right now, the Democrats are all mad at William Barr, who's a U.S. Attorney General, top law enforcement official in the entire country, right? And he's Trump's minion. Roger Stone did a whole bunch of crimes, obstructing justice, witness tampering. He was doing all kind of stuff. And the Department of Justice recommended 7 to 9 years to a judge as Roger Stone's about to be sentenced. Trump puts out a tweet, which is Trump's. Everybody knows this is the way Trump communicates with the various folks in his administration. You know, he's talking to the Trump faithful. He's talking to the media, but he's also putting his opinion out there. And when after Trump put out the opinion that he thought that Roger Stone didn't deserve to have 10 years, 7 to 9 years, all of the sudden, the Department of Justice, they reverse their recommendations. So now the Democrats are all upset talking about impeaching William Barr. Apparently he's going to go to Congress sometime soon and testify with them and, explain himself. He's going to explain his actions. Snoop don't have that kind of power. You know, he don't got that kind of power at all. I mean, Donald Trump out here putting Supreme Court justices in place. He out here putting federal judges in place for lifetime appointments. In some cases, we've already seen that these individuals don't really have the experience for the position. So what does that tell you? That tells you these people are going to be beholden to this man because he gave them something that they really couldn't get on their own. Trump got crazy influence. Crazy influence. And he needs to be checked. We'll see if the American public thinks the same way. Snoop is a rapper. He's got a lot of... hold on 1 second, Choppers. He's got a lot of... Snoop is a rapper. He's got a lot of fans, but that's about it. He's got some endorsements. You know, he's got some classic songs that people really, really like. I'm sure there's a lot of people that like Snoop. You know what I'm saying? But he ain't making the Justice Department do nothing. Hold on 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. If I told you what happened, you wouldn't believe me. You would not believe me. Tracy writes, about what? Snoop not getting canceled? I'm not sure what she's referring to. Mason Marler writes 100% CGW. And then, who's going to influence Trump? Trump is not like an entertainer who makes his money from going on the road and things like that. He makes his money from being Trump. Big time, I guess, property deals. Guess so. TNT writes, good morning. Angela's in the house. Next time I'm slapping your ass. I don't know what the hell that means. Women better get some thick skin. A biatch is not the worst thing you can be called. Call me a biatch. Just might agree with you that day. I'm just saying. Okay. Yeah, again, I think that the thing that stood out to me was not his language per se. I mean, that was bad enough in context, but it was a threat. People want to water down and play down the threat part of it. TNT writes, that's called white privilege at the highest level. Yeah, that's called white privilege at the highest level. Are you right? It is. Because just think about it. Obama could never get away with any of this stuff. I mean, could you imagine if Obama had a colleague or a longtime personal friend who got caught up with the feds? Then Obama goes on Twitter and goes on in the media and interviews and then expresses his personal view in this criminal sentencing. Man, the Republicans would have hit the roof. This country, the MSNBC, I know Joe Scarborough seems like he's a good old guy because he's anti-Trump. But when Obama was in office, man, he was giving it to Obama every single morning. Every single morning. Second guessing everything. Klumazik writes, Putin can influence Trump. He already has. And Trump is immersed. Yes, he has. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, Clue. I'm not sure if that is a good thing. Oh, that's funny. He definitely can influence Trump. Just like Hillary Clinton said. She said it. Speaking of which, let me see here. There is some national news that we can get into after the top of the break, including the last black candidate for president has now stepped down. I don't think I mentioned this. Yeah, we were talking about Bloomberg yesterday. Yeah, Bloomberg had some very extreme views on race and law enforcement. Safe to say his views are not the same as mine. Damn, what the hell? Oh boy. And they want to ignore Susan Rice's threat. She talking army and she is a deep state Negro, male hating heifer. Oh, really? Okay. Is that right? Okay. If you say so. I have to take your word on that one, man. I think otherwise. Again, people hating on Snoop, but I'm glad that Snoop did this. Yeah, give this man props. Give this man props for doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? Can we just give the man props for doing the right thing? That's a problem now? That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Why do I... What is this now? This is a life or death election for black voters. Is that right? You agree with that? That's some Jason Johnson recently, who is a political commentator on television. I think he writes for the, it's not the Griot, for the Root. He thinks he right about that. Could be. There's a lot of things at stake here. There's a lot of things at stake. And I'm not even talking about nationally. I'm talking about like locally around the country. And I don't know. Are people going to vote against the economy? Are they going to say that's Trump's doing? We'll find out together. Like, let me throw my number out to the world. 513. All right, 873-7134. If you like to share your thoughts, I'm going to slip into a break at the 9 a.m. hour, and we'll come back and we'll continue the conversation here on the Nathan Ivey Show, broadcasting live from beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm live, I'm local, and I'm vocal, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Donna Wilson. With the Bloomberg Urban Report, I'm Donna Wilson. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank has been accused of systemic bias against black personal bankers. A class action lawsuit claims the bank discriminates against black personal bankers by offering lower pay and promotions than their white counterparts and systemically assigning them to lower income branches with reduced chances for transfers. J.P. Morgan Chase told us it had no comment. Will and Jada Smith's production company, Westbrook, has inked a 5-year, $200 million global sponsorship deal. The investment will give Westbrook the opportunity to produce multi-genre event series around the globe. And it is Black History Month, and on this day in 1970, the New York Stock Exchange admitted its first black member, Joseph Searles. That's your Bloomberg Urban Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm gonna keep ticking, but no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave. But unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I'll say it again. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Nate Ivey in the air chair. Beautiful Thursday, currently 9:02 a.m. in the Queen City. So Jason Johnson is an African-American, and he's also like a television personality. You'll see him on MSNBC a lot. He's always on MSNBC. I think it must be one of their commentators. And he most recently was on their show called The 11th Hour. You ever seen that show? Listen to me, I like it. It's cool. It's like all the other shows. It's kind of like the Rachel Maddow show, kind of, but it's not Rachel Maddow. And he gave his commentary about, the black perspective on the national election front. And he made the statement, among others, that this is life or death for African Americans in 2020. Make it or break it. And I like to know if you agree with it. Also, we've been talking about Snoop, who has completely backed away from his earlier comments on Monday. He apologized, said he talked with his mama, and said he wasn't raised like that. And we've had a little bit of a conversation about it. Some people have the opinion that, he was forced or coerced or whatever. I would say he was influenced. I'm sure, a lot of people reached out to him and said, you know what, man, that was a bad look for you, bro. I mean, really? Do you really feel that way? And there's at least one call that we have in which the brother said that, he thought it was weak of Snoop. He said Snoop's looking weak. And to me, no, I don't think it's weakness to admit when you're wrong. I mean, I know Trump never admits when he's wrong about anything. That's just, to me, that's the mark of weakness. You can't admit nothing, huh? Okay. And we've been discussing it. If you'd like to join the conversation, 513-873-7134. Raise your hand. How many people have gotten a chance to view any of the Black News Channel? I still have not. I've seen some clips on the internet, but I don't have any of the channels that it's currently on in the greater Cincinnati area. Now, they're based down in Florida, so maybe, in Florida, they got a little bit more coverage down there. I don't know if my Floridian listeners have paid attention to that or not, but I'm just curious. Just curious. Tony writes, good morning. Good morning. Let me see. Kermia writes, I forgot to mention that the last date to register to vote for the March 17th election is time to help Judge Tracy Hunter. It's time for the big payback. Remove these Republican judges you falsely accuse. Patrick Dinkelacker, replace him with Christian A. Jenkins. Vote out Elizabeth Calley with the Jennifer Branch. Vote out Ralph Winkler. Vote in Pagan Parkin. Vote out John M. Williams. Vote in Kerry Bloom. Vote out Joe Dieters. Vote in Fanon Rucker or Gabe Davis. Please vote these crooks out of office. Well, Karamia, you just reminded us of something very important. You know, many of us have not forgotten. And that is, you know, just how influential these decisions that the local judges make. Like, some people forget until they're standing in front of the judge. But you're absolutely right. Thanks for reminding us. Yeah, do not forget. Do not forget. And I plan on speaking with all of the candidates as we get closer to the election. If I can squeeze it in, I'll get it in. So get your questions ready. Before the clown came president, he was an entertainer. The Apprentice again. The Apprentice. Again, I felt threatened when he said what he said, but there will never be an apology. No, you're right. There will never be an apology. I feel threatened by his presence in the White House, especially when he starts ignoring the issues of our community and acting like he can't understand racism. There's good people on both sides. Oh, really? Which side? The Nazi side? Okay. Well, not really. Tony writes, good morning. Trump was able to get that psycho Navy SEAL Ellie Gallagher, who stabbed up a teenager, off the hook and reinstated. Now he's outing the troops that told on him. Trump definitely got juice. And it's a, you know, but what it is the other thing though, the more that Trump does that, in my opinion, his hardcore supporters, his supporters in general love it. Because to them, they take it as a display of strength. And everybody wants to be on the winning side. Everybody wants to be on the strong side. So they feel like they were a strong man, right? That'll protect them when it comes down to it. Sure, he's eccentric and yeah, he's going to take a little for himself. Hey, wouldn't you? Right? Like we live in a world via the internet where we're at an all-time high when it comes to narcissism and self-importance. We're at an all-time high when it comes to narcissism and self-importance. Trump's a perfect leader. He's a perfect president for those days and times because he's all about himself and how he looks. 100%. D. Crates from the South Central writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Hey, good to see you, D. Crates. Here's what it is, though. I don't care about dying. Don't want to yet. But if it's God's will, it is what it is. They said Snoop is a bitch. Point blank, period. I stay getting threatened, especially in here. 3 times in the last 18 months. Y'all gonna have to cash them checks y'all writing on my life. I think you're having delusions of grandeur. That's what I think. I don't remember anybody threatening you. If anybody's doing the threatening, it's you. You're just like Trump, man. You know, when Trump accuses the Democrats or the other side of doing something, that's something he's doing. Same thing with Fame. Ray writes, the president's popular vote will not save us. Hashtag local elections matter. Yeah, I mean, well, it has an impact. I mean, who the president is and what their federal priority is has an impact, but, you know, everything is local. Everything is local. I firmly believe that. Do you believe with this brother on MSNBC, or do you believe this brother on MSNBC? Do you agree with him, should I say, when he says that he feels like, you know, it's all or nothing in 2020 for black folks? It's Jason Johnson. He said this is a life or death election for black voters. And I remember when Puffy came out with Vote or Die? What was that, 2008? I think it was. It's 2008. Vote or Die. Remember, they had the Vote or Die t-shirts? I remember one. I had a couple of them. Used to rock it. Vote or Die. And then all of a sudden, Puffy just abandoned it. He just walked away from that whatever. And I always thought it made a lot of sense. And here we are 20 years later, and you got Jason Johnson essentially saying this is a life or death election, so vote or die for black voters. Do you agree with him? Do you agree? 513-873-7134. Do you agree? What does he mean? Daryl writes, that is why I say we need a Obama election like turnout in November to beat Trump. But does these candidates fire up the black voters and millennial voters to want to show up and vote in November? This election is critical to have a Democrat candidate who are not firing their base to get people to the polls. I know it is early, though. That is why my post yesterday meant, but someone didn't understand it and went off the handle, assuming-ish. I'm not sure who he's talking about. I didn't see that post, Daryl. But back to the first part of it, I mean, we're going to have to find our inspiration in the candidates. Maybe it won't be a Democrat candidate. Maybe it's another party candidate. But here we are debating whether a Democrat can beat Trump. Is there really any way possible that you can see a third party candidate doing that? At least not at this point. I can't say yes. I cannot say yes to that. Well, you may not get a chance to be inspired this year. And it may just be, what they say that people hate. People hate it when you say, well, you're voting out the lesser of two evils. People hate that. But it might come down to that for all practical purposes. We shall see. We shall see. I know what I'm going to be doing. I know what many of you are going to do. I see that people are making a big deal out of this, man. Is that the same scarf? Because I see some red, white, and blue in that scarf. Omar writes, oh, yeah, they broke him. They broke him, y'all. Don't even sound like Snoop. Oh, my God. And you can tell it was crucial because in the video, unlike the first two videos, Snoop has, it's got the transcription that reads on the video. So if the audio's degraded, he wants to make sure you understand what he's saying. He wants to make sure of that. I ain't mad at him. Thank you, Snoop. I'll see you in Cincinnati, bro. Thank you. Tony writes, I get why white males and women ride or die for Trump, no matter how much of a scumbag he is. They're the demographic that benefits from his being in charge. Why would you want to change in the status quo when it has you winning? Exactly, Tony. Yeah, nobody likes the status quo unless it benefits them. If it benefits you, status quo is okay. TNT writes, Trump is the O.J. Simpson of impeached presidents. When everyone know you did it, but the system let him get away. The stain of Senate Republicans' complicit enabling of corrupt behavior will be their lasting legacy. Trump's stock will fall hard and they will all lose with him. Just like Bush. They started off loving him, and by the end, no one wanted to be associated with the name. The same will happen, but 3 times worse. Watch and see. Could be. Could be. I'll tell you one thing. As long as Trump is president, the Republican Party's going to back him. You know that. And if he gets another term, they're going to back him through that term as well. And the reason why is because Trump said it very early. He said, look, I'll sign whatever you put on my table to the Republican Party. So, any little, if those donors and friends get together and hand write the bill, Trump says he'll sign it. So, plus Trump is going to put the kind of judges in place that's going to make the Republican Party and their donors happy. So why would you turn on your leader? And he's giving you wins. That makes no sense. Clue writes, third-party voting remains what it has always been, an extra person in the way, taking votes on one side or the other. True that. Facts. Although I like the idea of an independent party and a third party giving rise or rising up, challenging the status quo of the Democrats and the Republican Party. I like that idea, but the Democrats and Republicans conspire. They don't agree on a lot. But the one thing they do agree on is they don't need nobody else coming in here talking about what we want and trying to be a major party. Nah. Tony writes, TNT, is Trump coming out with a book like OJ? I didn't F up the country, but if I did, that's hilarious, Tony. Like, what kind of man accused of a crime like that would come out with a damn and write a book? I didn't kill her, but if I did, here's how I would do it. What the hell? No wonder they hated him. No wonder white people hated Trump. He's like thumbing it in their face. I'm sorry, not Trump, but OJ. I could see Trump doing something like that. I really could. I could see that. I could see that. Hamilton County Clerk of Courts launches a task force to protect immigrants. That's Aftab Porval. They have a new task force that was announced this week to ensure that immigrants and minorities feel safe in the courthouse. I ain't never felt safe in the courthouse. Never. Even when I go down there for other things like somebody else's case. Pourval, who was joined at the announcement by the Immigration and Refugee Law Center and Catholic Charities, argued immigrants feel targeted at the courthouse and that it could prevent individuals from showing up. Quote, we are hearing from our immigrant communities, from everyday folks who just need to get work done in the courthouse, that they do not feel welcome or safe here. That is a problem, and a problem for all of us to fix. These are quotes attributed to Aftab Porval. As for the task force, he hopes to have recommendations in place in a matter of months. And, this is coming after Judge Ruhlman made national news, when he says that he has called ICE officials over the years if there's an illegal immigrant in his court. There's a big debate about whether law enforcement should be getting involved with it, with these sanctuary cities. And as I understand it, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I think I agree with the concept. A sanctuary city is basically saying that, that let's say the city of Cincinnati is a sanctuary city, right? What that means is that they're not going to commit local law enforcement resources into tracking down so-called illegal immigrants. And I've heard some pretty good reasons as to why you don't want to do that. And part of it, and I think it's maybe the top of the list, is because it breeds mistrust between these immigrant populations. Like, people want to believe that everybody's the same. And that if one person is a criminal and he's an immigrant, then all the folks who are from the same place as that person is a criminal, but that's not really true. And so currently you may have members of that community that are working with law enforcement, maybe giving them tips and clues as to who's who and what's what. And they may not happen if those same individuals are afraid that them or their family members might be deported or might become the subject of some law enforcement task force. That's one of them, right? Number two is, Cincinnati police are already stressed thin. They're already stressed thin. Now we're going to add another burden to it. And then you talk about the colossal amount of resources. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with these, from what I understand from the so-called sanctuary cities. We got other issues to deal with. I really do. And we're all immigrants here anyway. So I don't want to get caught up in who's okay to stay. Who makes those decisions? Trump? I don't trust him. Look at the pot calling the kettle black. So I've been telling this man for years now that he has a problem with black women. And now he's telling TNT that she hates men. The hell? Oh, man. Tony writes, TNT is Trump. I think I read already. Please be married, boyfriend or son or nephew. If not, F it. Not sure what you're talking about. Terrence writes, Trump is proposing cuts to EPA, which protects our drinking water, cuts SNAP benefits, and is working to eliminate student loan forgiveness programs. That's not even mentioning cuts to CDC and Health and Human Services. We could become a nation of indebted citizens and on eroding environment. Vote Trump out. All great points that as I understand, are all true. Yeah, all facts. I agree, Terrence, 100%. That's how I look at it. Tony writes, the courthouse has never had a good feeling, right? Tony writes, that 800 Broadway building has bad mojo. Very bad mojo. You go down to 800 Broadway, look up, you're going to see gargoyles and witches and all kind of evil spirits. Just, it's like the movie, the original Ghostbusters. All circling and giggling and sharpening their knives, trying to get the hooks into you. It's not a good spot, man. Just go down and look at the faces of the men who are walking out. Or just go stand in the lobby at 800. I don't even want to stand in the lobby at 800 Broadway. You don't want to be down there. Oh, my God. Trust me. You do not want to be down there. Courthouse, hate it. Last time I was at the courthouse, I got put out by the deputy because I was on my phone. I didn't know who he was talking to. I wasn't conditioned. And, I didn't see the whole don't be on your cell phone thing. And they get so rude about it. They try to exercise their authority and be so rude. Because they want you to do something so they can try out their new jiu-jitsu, MMA moves on you and see how far they can put your hands behind your back. Oh, I'm going to make his knuckles touch his earlobes. All this kind of ish. Yeah. It's true. Ryan writes, the presidency is all but a lock. Honestly, our efforts are better serving propping up down ticket candidates. You think so, Ryan? I think we should do both. I don't know if it's a lock. I don't know if it's a lock the way people are saying about Trump. I don't believe that whatsoever. I still think we have a lot of question marks about, number one, we don't even know who the Democrat candidate's going to be. Until we whittle that down, and then once we get that candidate, we need to know who the VP is going to be, because that matters. Maybe in this election more than any other, who the VP is going to really, really matter. And on the Democrat side, I would not be surprised if you end up getting a VP of color, because they would need it. So I don't know, Ryan. To me, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of filling in the blanks that still needs to happen before we even get to the point where we can prognosticate about who's going to win or not. I don't think Trump's a lock. Trump is not a lock. He is not a lock. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody's a lock. But the down ballot candidates, local stuff is going to have an impact that is going to feel a lot more for sure on that. Tim writes, don't forget the blue wave that took over the House and elected the record number of women. Let me stop right there. She makes a good point. Don't forget the impact on the U.S. Senate. We haven't been talking about it. There are some U.S. Senate seats that's going to be up. And the one thing about that impeachment trial is that there is no doubt that the U.S. Senate is in the back pocket of the president, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to support him. Not everyone is happy about that. There's a lot of people who don't like that. There are Republicans who don't like that. There are moderates that they just don't like the imbalance of power and the way things played out. They could take it out on the Republican Party. It could have an impact in 2020. Back to her flow. She writes, don't forget the blue wave that took over the House and selected the record number of women. They, all caps, are coming for the Senate and the presidency. They can't have a kangaroo court impeachment in front of the American public and think that they are not disgusted with the lack of integrity. I didn't even read this in Congress. Senate Republicans will pay. Did you see the interview with Rob Portman looking like a deer in headlights when he was questioned about his call with Trump and why he voted the way he did? I did see that, and you're right. They come home and have some explaining to do. Yeah, I agree. I hadn't even read that beforehand. Kermir writes, didn't Trump say he will not provide federal funds to sanctuary cities? Well, not only that, but what I've read is that the Justice Department is cooking up some new policy, some new law that essentially they're going to be suing the sanctuary cities. So you could have the federal government suing the city of Cincinnati and other so-called sanctuary cities. And again, I don't know the details as to what they are, but I did read that. So we shall find out. So speaking of federal government is suing and Bill William Barr and all that kind of stuff, there's also some talk that remember General Flynn? Yeah, he was the first domino to drop in the Trump administration going way back to Mueller. Well, I've seen some folks on MSNBC in the last 2 days, Rachel Maddow and others, who seem to believe that the Trump administration might be getting ready to set up for a whole new wave of pardons. See, that's power. When you can do some super corrupt-ish and then get pardoned for it. And if Trump pardons General Flynn, if Trump starts to hand out these pardons, things are going to heat up. Like, again, if you're a member of the Trump administration, why would you ever go against Trump? And you saw what happened to Ambassador, Sondland, who was like a donor for Trump, raised money for Trump, and then got a cushy ambassadorship, as a payoff. Or Lieutenant Vindman. Why would you ever come forward? All it's going to do is going to lead to a little bump in your career. Why do that? Tony writes, Nate, I was just thinking that. I remember having to go to 800 Broadway building. As I was approaching the revolving doors, you saw confident brothers walking in with their manila case folders and brothers flustered, shaking their heads defeated, walking out. That place has broken many a Cincinnati naker. Well, that's why they do child support. And the child support system has not been kind to brothers. It's not been kind to brothers. And, you can make the argument that it is what it is because, you created a child and that's just what it is. Or you can make the argument that the system in some cases has been quite inflexible, to say the least, when it comes to brothers. But, Tony, I have observed the exact same phenomena. I observed it myself. You can observe it too. Just go down there and go to 800 Broadway and just stand outside. Don't even go inside. You don't have to go inside. And you can see it for yourself. TNT writes, it's a lot of people who feel they trampled on the Constitution for a reality TV show president. I believe there are. And see, that's the kind of thing that'll bring people out who ordinarily might not come out. They sitting back like, oh, word, Trump think he can do whatever. Oh, okay, I'm going to get involved. It could happen that way. I think what the Democrats really need and what we really need is a charismatic leader. Somebody that really, excites people on the Democrat side, like Obama did, that will make people want to come out and vote for them. Do you see that in Biden? I don't see it in Biden. Do you see that in Bernie? Bernie has the potential. He has the potential. Warren, I like Elizabeth Warren. I like Bernie in terms of their politics. There's a lot of the politics of the candidates actually that make sense. Now, will they be able to put this in place or not? I mean, we don't really know. But there's no person of color. There's no Obama in the field. There's no Michelle Obama in the field. Nate, Terrence writes, correct, Nate. That's the last opportunity the Trump administration has to sanction sanctuary cities. Yeah, they're going to start suing sanctuary cities. I don't know the details of what their argument is going to be, but, these sanctuary cities, man, if you didn't know anything about it, it would make you think the cities are somehow like a sanctuary and they're, just down with illegal activity. But if you really think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Like, we don't have enough law enforcement now. We don't have enough resources now. We can't solve all the murders we got now. To have a substantial amount of the Cincinnati police force running around trying to find so-called illegal immigrants. I mean, maybe it's not fair to say it's a waste of time, but you get the point. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivy. This is your West Side Connection. Drop Squad 52. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent. I'm doing excellent. Welcome.
Well, you're sounding great. I joined the show late. Well, late for me, I guess around 6 o'clock. I slept in this morning. And I hear you talking about how Donald Trump has the Democrat Party looking like fools.
Did I say that?
Mr. Ivy. Yeah, that's the impression I got.
Oh, okay. That's the impression you got. Okay.
Yeah, because first of all, there's the Bloomberg controversy with his stop and frisk policy and how he implemented it. And Mr. Ivy, it's starting to look ridiculous. It's almost starting to look like the Ralph Northam, the governor of Virginia, Mr. Blackface and KKK at the same time, and how the Democrats rallied around him and said he doesn't have to step down. He's one of the good white folks in the Democrat Party. We can overlook his racism and his stereotypical behavior of the white Southern male. We can overlook that because of his overall track record. Mr. Ivy, Gregory Meeks, a brother and a member, a prominent spokesperson for the Congressional Black Caucus, was on Chris Matthews yesterday, Mr. Ivy, and it was embarrassing. Chris Matthews said, why are black people starting to look toward Bloomberg in the latest polls over Joe Biden, another admitted racist segregationist who also went on an apology tour, and all of a sudden the Democrat Party, led by the Negro Whisperer in the Congressional Black Caucus, are again telling the black electorate to just shut up and vote. Now, Mr. Ivy, am I wrong?
I mean, you're not wrong in your opinion.
No, that's a fact.
That's how you feel. I mean, some of your characterizations, I think, are personal opinion. But if that's your opinion, okay.
Okay. But Mr. Ivy, this is a fact. When white racism is exposed in the Democrat Party and their deep history and ties to racism and the KKK in the South, when it gets exposed, these Democrat politicians get a pass by, guess who? The black Democrats. But if a white Republican even thinks about a racist term or a racist anything, it's on. He got to go. He got to go. He got to go. If you associate with him, you a racist too.
That's not true, man. I mean, just think about the conversation.
Mr. Ivy.
That's not true. Just think about the conversation.
Mr. Ivy, there are people right now in the chop shop saying that because I am a Republican and I vote for Republicans, that I'm a racist, I'm an Uncle Tom, I'm a coon, I might as well be white, I'm a watermelon man. But when Mike Bloomberg,
I mean, did somebody really say watermelon man? I mean, come on now.
What?
I think you're landing on pretty thick. Was that the verbatim what was said, watermelon man?
No, I threw the watermelon man in
okay,
myself.
So again, your creative flourishes. You're taking a whole lot with your creative interpretations, but go right ahead.
Okay, but the rest was correct.
If you say so.
I shall proceed. Mr. Ivy, come on. You read the comment. I don't even have to go there.
Yeah,
okay. I don't even have to say trust but verify.
That's less about, to me, this is the way I look at it. I think it's less about your particular, political affiliations, and it's more about the way that you explain yourself. I think it's more of that.
Well, Mr. Ivy, you cannot have that without my association with whatever offends that other person. Because if I just came on with an opinion and I said I was a disgruntled Democrat and I brought up all these issues about the Democrat Party, never saying or admitting that I vote Republican, I wouldn't be called a coon and a sellout. And you know it.
We'll never know.
Okay, so back to my point that when a white racist is exposed in the Democrat Party and he has an ability to affect the black vote within the party, that white racist Democrat is defended by black Democrats.
And I'm just telling you,
Mr.
I don't
Ivy,
believe that's
that is
true.
A fact.
No, man, I mean, that's a huge generalization. So can we use 2 real life examples? So let's look at Joe Biden. There are people out there are black people out there who from day one was never feeling Joe Biden because of his support of the 90s era crime bills. Off top. Starting from there, they wasn't feeling them, and it didn't really matter from there. And that completely contradicts what you just said. There are other people.
Doesn't.
Yes, it does. There are other people.
Why did he apologize? Why did he apologize?
It doesn't matter. The point you tried to make is that when there's a white person in the Democrat Party who expresses racism or anti-blackism, that black Democrats just accept it. That ain't true.
Name one in this race, Nate, that has dropped out.
That's not the point. And then the other thing,
Amy Klobuchar, Joe Biden.
That's not the point.
Mayor Buttigieg.
Let's talk about Mayor Buttigieg.
Mayor Bloomberg.
Let's talk about Mayor Bloomberg. Let's talk about Mayor Bloomberg, who is not going to get support from black Democrats because of the things he said about stop and frisk. That's going to prevent him from getting votes. People are going to hold that against him.
Mr. Ivy, not according to the poll.
What do you mean according to the poll?
Look at the latest national poll, Mr. Ivy.
So you're saying he's got 100% of black Democrat among black voters, 100% are in favor of Bloomberg in this poll you're talking about. Is that what you're telling me?
I didn't say 100%, Mr. Ivy. Nothing is 100%.
Well, that's what it has to be to make your generalization true. And that's what I'm telling you. There's always going to be a variance, a segment of people that have a different viewpoint.
No, Mr. Ivy, we're talking about Mike Bloomberg, who entered the race late, who has not appeared on any talk shows. I haven't seen him in any press conferences. He's only released ads on television, on radio, and in print. So the poll that was taken last week or earlier this week after New Hampshire and Iowa among black voters, because they all know that the Democrats are heading to South Carolina, and the front runner, Joe Biden, says that's his firewall, black voters. So the poll comes out, Joe Biden has lost 20% of his black support, and Mike Bloomberg has moved up to, I think he's at 15%, third behind Bernie Sanders, I think, among the black voters. So the poll is out there, Mr. Ivy. All right? I'm not going to do your work for you.
I don't need you to.
Okay.
Why would you start doing that? But I'm aware. I'm aware of what you're talking about. I understand.
Okay. Thank you. I know it's hard for you to agree with me, and I'm not trying to compromise your position as a talk show host by agreeing with a black Republican. That's not what I'm trying to do, Mr.
Yeah,
Ivy.
I don't have a problem agreeing with anybody if you're right.
Okay, so to me, you're sounding like you're intellectually being dishonest. Because you know the stuff that I'm talking about, how the black voter is now being told that if you vote for anyone other than a Democrat, your life is over. Really, Mr. Ivy? I'm telling you, Mr. Ivy, the Democrats are still using tactics from the 60s, 70s,
Well, isn't
80s,
Trump saying the
and
same
90s.
thing to black voters, though? Isn't Trump saying the same thing?
It's the same.
Trump is
Mr.
saying,
Ivy, see, stop it.
if you vote
Stop
for
it,
anybody
Mr.
but
Ivy.
me, the economy is going to go bad. And all the
Mr.
things I
Ivy.
brought you are going to go away. That's called politics.
Mr. Ivy, this conversation is about black voters, okay? And we both know black voters have never been a base part of the Republican Party. We know this. So don't even try to say that, oh, a Republican is doing this with black voters. No, it's different. The Democrats need black votes to win.
Tell us something that we don't know. We've got that.
Oh, okay, so why is a black pundit, Jason Johnson, who works for the Griot, I think, is telling people that this election is life or death for black people? Really?
Well, maybe he's
You
saying
know
it
that's
because
bullshit, Mr. Ivy.
maybe he's saying that because he feels like it is.
No, he's saying that because he is loyal to the Democrat Party, and he knows that he can make more money when the Democrat Party is sitting in the White House behind the desk in the Oval Office. He knows that. Look what happened to the black punditry on TV since Barack Obama has been out of office.
What's
come
happened
on,
to
Mr. Ivy, it's a fact.
What's happened to it?
Where's April Ryan, Mr. Ivy?
Where
Where's
is she?
Angela Rye, Mr. Ivy?
I see her on TV. I see her on these little different shows. She's on, I don't know, CNN from time to time.
No. Mr. Ivy, they're abandoning CNN and MSNBC because nobody's watching anymore. Black people are working. Black people are thriving. Black people are starting businesses, send digital media. Black people are advancing their family wealth. Black people are investing. Black people are buying property. Now, it is true, Mr. Ivy, that the last 2 years of Barack Obama and his feeding money into the stock market has affected the economy when Trump took over. But it was in conjunction with Republican policies that have affected this economy and given it the lowest unemployment for Hispanics and blacks and young black people, and the lowest or the best, one of the best economies in the past 50 years. So, Mr. Ivy, none of this is fake news. It is real. So when you talk about somebody's pocket and what's in their pockets, most people ain't going to be telling you how much or how little is in their pockets. But when it comes time to vote, I'm telling you, Mr. Ivy, if their pockets are empty, they voting for somebody that's going to put money in their pockets. If their pockets are full, they are not voting for someone that's going to take money out of their pockets, i.e. the Democrat Party, free this, free that, free everything, tax the rich. It's the rich fault. The rich go pay for everything. I mean, Mr. Ivy, shall I go on, sir? No,
you don't need to go on. You don't need. I'm glad you're gonna stop yourself. I'm glad.
Let me stop myself because I think my point has been made.
I think it has.
When a white Democrat is exposed for their racist heart and their racist minds, Michael Bloomberg, a black Democrat will run to the cameras and tell all of the black voters, shut your black ass up and go vote. Drop Squad 52, dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. I'm out.
I can tell he really thought he was dropping science today. I appreciate that. He said, I'm out. Okay. So let me get to this. What is he referring to? He's referring to an MSNBC conversation between with Jason Johnson, who's an African American. If you watch MSNBC or CNN or any of these shows, he's been on for years and years, and he'll come on and talk about different issues. And right now, a lot of people are talking about the black vote because the Democrats desperately need the black vote. And the black vote could be the difference in beating Trump or not come November. And to this point, we haven't had any primary states where there's been any real size of diversity or African American vote. But we're getting ready for South Carolina. And as they do every 4 years, people are going to use this as a sign, as an example, as a sample of how the black vote may or may not react. So that's what he's speaking of. And in the conversation, they talked about a Quinnipiac poll. Black voters, 2020 Democratic nominee. Okay. And just to give you a sense of the age of this poll, it includes Yang, who's since dropped out. So this tells you it's a few days old. Okay. And what is polling? Polling is a science if done correctly with the methodology. But even if it's like the best methodology ever, it's nothing more than a snapshot of how people felt in that moment, in that particular poll. It could change in a day or two. It could change overnight. So just keep that in mind. Black voters, 2020 Democratic nominee. Biden, 27%. Bloomberg, 22%. Sanders, 19%. Warren, 8%. Buttigieg, 4%. And Yang, 1%. Now, of course, Yang has since dropped out. Where's that 1% going? I don't know. But let's listen in on the conversation if we can and get a sense, because Jason Johnson says basically vote or die.
Vital subsection of the
out.
Democratic Party electorate. Jason, for viewers who haven't heard your theory tinged with your reporting, firsthand reporting on Bloomberg, let us hear it.
So there's a couple things here, Brian. This is a horrible indictment of the Democratic field. It really, really is. For Mike Bloomberg, with his terrible history on race, there's a new viral video popping out from a speech he gave at the Aspen Institute where he's talking about stop and frisk, and I send a bunch of cops into minority neighborhoods because they commit the most crime. The fact that African Americans, half of them literally, have left Joe Biden and begun to support Mike Bloomberg is indicative of the fact that none of the rest of the Democrats have convinced them that they can beat Trump. And African-American voters are primarily focused with getting Donald Trump out of office. And they will make a deal with the devil if they have to, if that's what it requires to get Trump removed. And I think that Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Mayor Pete have to reckon with the fact that they have not sold black people on their ability to do the most important thing, which is beating Donald Trump.
You have said, and at the risk of paraphrasing you, it doesn't mean this voting bloc is as nakedly transactional as it may appear to people. Right. It doesn't mean they are at all superficial regarding candidate selection. Far from it. It just means that African American voters, as a subset, feel the existential threat perhaps more than other subsections of the Democratic Party, correct?
Brian, this is a life and death election for black voters. I cannot impress upon people enough, from Texas to Arizona to Memphis, Tennessee, to Atlanta, Georgia, to Charlotte. The number one thing that when you talk to black voters is, can we get Trump out of office? This is not just because we don't think he's a nice guy. This is because he has encouraged white nationalists. This is because he has had white nationalists in his administration. This is because he's made it clear that he will try to block any and other brown people from coming into this country. And so to the degree that you've got Democratic candidates who want to argue back and forth about these high-level grad school philosophical ideas, they're talking over the heads of black voters who are primarily concerned about who can get rid of this guy. And that's the main issue. And here's the thing. Again, Mike Bloomberg's got the money. Mike Bloomberg has the ability to push his message one way or another. Black voters will hold their nose and vote for him if they think he can win, which means anybody else could potentially step into this situation. But let's not be naive. This isn't about love. This is about necessity.
And can you tell me how a Democratic Party where Bernie leads tonight, right now, is ever going to drive that car and get all the way around to the other side of town and support a Mike Bloomberg professional billionaire?
I think they can get around to the other side of the town once we start getting to the side of town where other people live. Look, we're dealing with the first two states that have 96 and 98% white voters. It doesn't count. It's like anybody who got into the Baseball Hall of Fame before Jackie Robinson came in. You can't consider either of these first two primaries or caucuses to be particularly valid. Once we get to Nevada, where you have a Latino population, 6% Asian Americans are going to be caucusing, 13% African Americans. Then you get to South Carolina. That is the real test as to where these Democratic candidates candidates are. Any of these things that are happening beforehand are just window dressing. And that is why it's really key. Brian, when you pointed out in the poll, it's not just that Bloomberg has jumped to 22%. It's that black voters basically leapfrogged Bernie Sanders. Black voters said we would rather vote for the king of stop and frisk and gentrification than for Bernie's socialist revolution. That says something about what his message does and does not do for the most important constituency for the Democratic Party.
Yeah. So do you agree? That was Jason Johnson. It was a great flows. Great conversation. Good conversation. He's talking about us. Is he right or black as it relates to the national election with president? Are black people like anybody that can beat this clown, like Jason said? Is that how you feel? Is that how you feel? Are black people willing to vote for Bloomberg, stop and frisk Bloomberg? Mike, stop and frisk. I think that we're stopping too many whites. We should be stopping more minorities. Bloomberg. If it's perceived that he's got the money and the ability to beat Trump. Is there a difference between having a president that's soft on racism, has white nationalists in his cabinet, and a president who is pro stop and frisk and believes that black people commit all the crimes in the country? You tell me. 513-873-7134. You tell me. CG Dub writes, Bloomberg will be the Democratic nominee. Hashtag wait for it. You may be right. You may be right. Mason Marlin writes, anybody seen Ben Carson or Herman Cain? Will they be on the campaign trail for Donald Trump? 2 African Americans over there? Mike writes, Pete No Chio. Who Magic writes, the same way you overlook Trump drop, make it make sense, homeboy. You can't. Ray writes, I saw Gregory Meeks, but again, Bloomberg apologized. Pamela writes, so let me get this straight. Drop will attack a black man, but praise Trump. Can someone tell me when I entered the Twilight Zone? He says, Jason in that, who's a commentator, he's an African-American, and you'll see him a lot on MSNBC. If you watch those shows, if you can't catch the name, if you saw him, you'd be like, oh, that brother, because he's always on. I think he's sharp. And he said basically that it's an indictment on the Democrat field. Because let's be honest here, the Democrat field is weak. It's weaker than like wet tissue paper. Soup. It's not a really strong, inspirational, And everybody keeps hating on Bernie's socialism. I don't necessarily have a problem with, number one, we live in a capitalist society that's got some socialist tenets to it. Like a lot of working class people want to get that Social Security when you retire, don't you? Love your Social Security, but you're not for socialism. I just think that socialism, a lot of people don't even know what that is. Not saying that he doesn't, Mr. Jason Johnson there. I'm sure he does, but I think the masses have been led to believe that somebody's going to come into your house. Somebody's going to take the money you might make one day. You broke as hell, but I might hit the lottery. I might become a millionaire one day. And when I do, I don't want to share my money with taxes with poor people. Ah, man, where are we living? Jesus, if you're a Christian, Jesus Christ was a socialist, wasn't he? I think so. I think I remember that. Clue Magic writes, no one called you Watermelon Man. Yeah, Watermelon Man. He's just making up ish to make himself sound like he's being persecuted inside the chop shop. You know what it is? It's not that you're a Republican per se. It's how you explain it. TNT writes, Watermelon Man. I'm done, right? Watermelon Man. The hell? Who even talks like that? Watermelon Man. He wants us to call him Watermelon Man, but we're not going to. This guy. Tracy writes, I like chicken. Watermelon. Ryan writes, the crime bill was also supported by the CBC. That's the Congressional Black Caucus. Yes, it was, Ryan. They took a big step backwards on that one, like, in history. You're very right. Nathan, I know black Dems that are riding for Bloomberg. It's shocking. Really? I'm not surprised by that. But this one ain't over. I have a problem with that because my thing is, what's the difference? So Trump is a white nationalist, or he's sympathetic to white nationalists. I'll take that back. And he has people in his inner circle and even perhaps his cabinet that have been called white nationalists. Okay. Right. But Bloomberg said in an interview just a little while ago that he thinks that we should stop stopping white people. We're stopping too many white folks. We need to stop more minorities. Doubling down on stop and frisk, which had a disparate impact on the kind of people that were arrested for crimes. Is there a difference? Maybe there is. Maybe there's more differences. Pamela writes, Watermelon Man. I think Drop just got his chop shop name. See, Pamela, let's not do that because that's exactly what Drop wants. He wants us to call him that. That's what he wants. Ray writes, and Nathan, nothing is 100%. Bloomberg is skipping around the table, as did Snoop on his apology. CG Dub writes, Drop seems to be worried about Bloomberg. I wonder why. Tracy writes, Drop stats are correct. Clue Magic writes, vote for a racist Republican or racist Democrat. What you gonna do, Drop? Vote for Trump, right? Mr. Mueller writes, with minorities now making up nearly a third of the overall electorate in 2020, his previous support for stop and frisk could prove to be a hurdle for Bloomberg as he asserts himself as an equality advocate who can galvanize a blue coalition of Democrats to defeat President Donald Trump in November. Quote, I was wrong and I'm sorry, Bloomberg said to a predominantly black church in Brooklyn before announcing his late presidential run last November. He has then reiterated his regret to reporters, voters, and community leaders during his campaign blitz through 2020's battleground states. His initial admission has been coupled with policy rollouts addressing criminal justice reform, gun violence, climate change, and economic equality, promoted in partnership with prominent black leaders who are willing to vouch for his candidacy ahead of Super Tuesday. But does he have a Douglas plan? That's the question. Like Pete Buttigieg. Got to have a Douglas plan. Tracy writes, I saw that yesterday on Joe listing the blacks. Mason Mahler writes, I honestly don't believe Drop believes we have use of the internet. Stop cheerleading for this clown. Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. The one thing I'll say about Drop is that he is 100% a Republican. There's no doubt about that. At first, I thought he was just like playing a role, like, oh, I'm gonna be the black Republican on the Nathan Ivey show. But no. Like he really is a black Republican for his own reasons. And I think there's a value in that. There's a value in that opinion because I'm on the opposite side in a lot of ways. But Iris writes, good morning, great people. Hey, good to see you, Iris. Good to see you. Mason Muller writes, Jason Johnson works for TheRoot.com, not the Grio. Come on, people, facts. It's very wrong. When Obama was in office, I got capped at the highest pay rate. I can't get at my job. Iris writes, is Drop the black people's czar for black people or the Republican Party? Iris writes, what point? I'm sorry, Drop. I can't find it. She's searching for a point. CG Dub. She writes, bye, Watermelon Man. See, I'm sure that when he read that, he was like, yeah. Yes. And then he'll go on Twitter and say, they calling me Watermelon Man because I'm a black Republican. You know, Drop, we see you working, man. Anybody following the story on the OSU football players, or are we going to talk about that next week? I brought it up yesterday. I'm not sure if something else came out. I remember there was a local connection because one of the brothers, one of these, they're both 21 years old, playing for, I think, OSU, right? Man, that's a great place to play football. And it was very, very early because we just had just like the early preliminary details. Again, they're considered innocent until proven guilty. And it just looks bad. It reminded me, when I saw that, it reminded me of that high profile case with the other brother, man. What university was it from? It was a big time university. And these football players basically took advantage of this young girl. And then they took photographs and videos and sent it to their friends. I'm not making it up. And I saw this brother got sentenced to 25 years. 25 years, I believe he got in jail. 15 years he got in jail, which was the minimum. I don't know. I mean, I can't give a strong opinion and say I know these brothers did it. Because I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that. I don't know if that's true or not. Cincinnati pastor Derek Terry will be featured on Oprah Winfrey Network on Saturday. Okay, she got her a new one. She got rid of old pastor, dropped that show. Maybe this brother get a show now. Man, Oprah Winfrey loves brother. She loves black male pastors that's got roots to Cincinnati, it seems. If you're a black male pastor and you got roots to Cincinnati, you might end up on the Oprah Winfrey Network. The hell? What the hell? That's terrible. What? Black Democrats, shut up and vote. Yeah, but Drop is trying to say that the Democrat Party is telling black voters to just get in line. And, I mean, there might be Democrats who might want that, but that's not necessarily going to happen. I'm not really sure it's going to end that way. That's why everybody's interested in these other states where you've got more diversity. Everybody wants to know what the minorities think. Nevada, South Carolina, right? Because that's where the race is really gonna be won. Cassandra writes, we need to talk about the Dayton City Councilman who was facing jail time for giving someone inside info on how to get city contracts. Yeah. Yeah. Tracy writes, she's going to wait before giving her 2 cents. You talking about on that rape case? Yeah, I mean, I want to hear whatever opinion you want to share, but for me, I don't really have a lot. And at this point, they just been charged. And we've got like bare details. I don't know if these brothers actually did it or if they didn't do it. I don't know. I hope they didn't for the sake of the victim. But, apparently a victim came forward and there was enough evidence to move forward. I don't know what that evidence is, but we'll find out. That's for sure, because it's going to be all over the state because one of these kids, these young men, 21, not kid, but 21-year-old football players is from the Cincinnati area. It's going to be in Cincinnati media, so we shall find out. Tony writes, I look at the candidates polling ahead, and it's not a good feeling. I always think about the actual Republican versus Democrat debate and who's going to be able to put Trump in his place. I see Bernie and Warren as too weak and Pete and Amy as a non-factor. The only ones I see of strength is Biden or Bloomberg, and it ain't looking good for Biden. This is a complete mess. Really? That's interesting because Bloomberg hasn't been in any of the debates. The fact that he's a multi-billionaire, he's able to, when you see the Democrats saying he's buying his way, he is buying his way. They just don't like it because he's polling very, very high. If Bloomberg was polling, minus sub double digits, they wouldn't even bring his name up. But because he's polling high, at least in that particular poll, Now, that poll was taken, I can tell, earlier in the week, if not over the weekend. And since then, that audio clip came out that we played a couple days back of him talking about how pro stop and frisk he is and how the reason why, you have all the police in the black community is because that's where all the crime is. Is that going to have an impact in the next poll? Probably. Let me see here. Bloomberg is a white supremacist as well. There are plenty of receipts. The tape of Bloomberg was released by Bernie Sanders supporters. I wouldn't doubt it. TNT writes, in my Biggie voice, Brooklyn in the house. I danced for Watermelon Man, so y'all giving him exactly what he wants. Tony writes, Drop might actually be right this time. Bernie brothers are some ignorant MFs. Them OSU players made the girl take a shower and do a video saying it was consensual. Them nigwas is dumb. That's what I remember. What I remember is that one guy, from what I read, allegedly, one of them was having sex with her. And then he brought his buddy in like, hey. And they both held her down while his friend allegedly sexually assaulted her, raped her. Then they made her take a shower. And then they made her videotape saying it was consensual. So, how exactly did they make her? Did they threaten her life? And who does that? Like, what woman has sex and then does a video saying, hey, listen, guys, I just want everybody to know, just in case somebody else says anything, and the only person who would ever say anything would be you because you were the person who were there. I mean, that just seems a little bit weird in and of itself. So is the video of her saying, like, I don't know. I don't know. It just seems weird. Like, how many women do a video after having sex with somebody, and then you get a video to the person you have sex with so they can keep it, just in case one day you might claim rape? That don't even sound right. Clue Master Wright says that was Baylor University. Was that Baylor? Let me look it up. Yeah, it was. It was Baylor. Well, Baylor is also reported to have had an issue as well. I'm not sure if it was a case I was thinking of. I thought it was somewhere else, but yeah, this brother, and it was a African American and a Caucasian American. They was the two ringleaders, and apparently they drugged some woman in here, some co-ed, and then the I guess he was the leader of the team or something. He told the other guys to take turns with her. Like, why are you following along with this? Don't you see where this ends? It just goes to show you just how prevalent this stuff is, and it never gets reported. May not have been the first time they did something like that. Cam writes, Watermelon Man should be taken as a compliment, as it was a very popular song by jazz musician Herbie Hancock. You know what? Cam, that he wasn't thinking about no damn Herbie Hancock when he said that. He was thinking about some old crude racial name for him. So then he could go on Twitter and post up videos and say that people are persecuting him because he's a black Republican. That's all that was. While white rapists in Cincinnati get let off the hook, though, retired Judge Nadel, now county recorder. Okay. Damn. Let me see here. Out of curiosity, was the girl on the video of the Caucasian persuasion? I don't know, because they don't post the identity of the victim in a situation like that, Some will say it's unfair because they put the accuser up there and you're innocent until proven guilty, but they typically, don't do that. I didn't see it anyway. I didn't see it. Maybe it is out there. I just didn't see it myself. Yeah, that's terrible right there. I hope it's not true. For her, for the person's sake, but it sounds like, they're already going forward with it. So, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Well, that is my time. I see we're a little bit after 10 a.m. this morning. That is my time. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Have an excellent rest of your Thursday. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Still not it's like sometimes I feel 100%. I had my first doctor's appointment post getting out of the hospital just yesterday. They're telling me, slow down, buddy. Whoa, buddy. I'm like, hey, but I feel great. I want to go shoot some hoops. They're like, yeah. You can, but we don't recommend that you do, bruh. So I won't be. Have an excellent Thursday. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate your support as we start this journey together. If you would like to support independent black media in the greater Cincinnati area, consider becoming a patron. Let's go to Patreon/Nathan Ivey Show. And for as little as $2 per month, you can be involved in building new black media in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond, and supporting the Nathan Ivey Show. I like being independent. That's the only way to be. That is the only way to be for me. So thank you so much. Have an excellent rest of your day, and we'll talk real soon. Viva La Chapas, and I'm out.